Okay, one more time. That's it. That's it. Brilliant.
Testing, 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 testing,
Sorry, I
testing.
shouldn't drop.
That's hilarious. Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross, and I'm the founder at designcuts.com. And this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert Ian Barnard, American retro design expert Dustin Lee, and the ever-talented South African illustrator Lisa Glanz. In this week's episode, we take a question from Lisa of Lisa's Balcony, a super talented designer and regular listener of the show. Lisa asks us about how to plan ahead for your creative business, in particular, how to create an effective annual plan that you can actually stick to. We dig into tons of actionable tips in this episode, so enjoy and let's get into the show. So today we've got another listener question, and this one is actually from a fellow designer, Lisa, at Lisa's Balcony. And Lisa sells incredible digital products, as many of our lovely hosts here do. And she's also popped into the Design Cuts office before. And so it was really nice to meet her. And I actually got to sit down and try and help her a little bit with her online business. So thrilled to have you on the show, Lisa. And Lisa's question is, I really want to improve everything I offer this year, as well as my numbers. So these days I'm trying to plan the whole year, new products, campaigns, upgrades, deep improvements on my business model, etc. And I'm curious whether any of you ever sit down and create a plan for the whole year. And if so, how do you actually stick with it and make it real? Do you take a calendar out and plan everything at once? I'd love to know your thoughts and good practices. Thanks in advance. So it's a pretty cool question, I think. And it's good timing because we're still just about in the first month of 2018. And I think now is a great time to kind of reflect maybe on last year, on the start of this year so far. And if you haven't got concrete plans in place, I do think they can be really effective. I mean, that would be my first part of the answer. I think planning can be a great thing. Personally, I think it's human nature that we fall into bad habits of just ticking along. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of stuff that we do because we're creatures of routine, we're creatures of habit. And so occasionally we have to jolt ourselves out of that and actually kind of audit what we're doing. And it's like, actually, that's not smart, or that could be better, or I should be reallocating time and energy in this. But again and again, I kind of just have to slap myself and be like, what am I doing? I've fallen back into a bad habit again. What do you guys think?
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. And only recently, when I say recently, probably in the last 2 years, thanks to Cliff, I've actually, besides planning ahead, I've started reviewing my years. And I found that that's just equally helpful because, as you said, you figure out, okay, what worked, what didn't work, where did I fall off the wagon, where do I need more attention, that kind of thing. So it also gives you, I would say, like, it's the first thing you should do because it kind of like sets you up for how you're going to plan the year ahead,
Especially that where you fell off the wagon. That's like, I think it's easy to ignore that, and that's so useful.
Yeah, it is. So true.
Did you actually fall off the wagon?
Yes.
I have a wagon outside. I fall off of it, literally.
You totally look like you would own a wagon.
I do. I got the hat.
Yeah. It fits with the whole retro brand, I think.
Totally.
And a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah. Good day, good sir. One of those.
That's what me and Tom drive around in all the time.
Yeah, no, that's standard English transport, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll be on the back doing calligraphy with the vegetables.
Yeah.
I do love that, though, because I've done I think I've done like 3 different things for planning this year. I've kind of looked at them and then tried different things out. And that, similar to what Lisa said, a lot of people said, where did things go wrong last year? And by thinking about those things is just as productive as coming up with new ideas. For instance, I fell off the wagon because I just let my software subscriptions build up. Like I would try one and then I would forget to cancel it. And then when I saw my CPA's report on like my software expenses, I'm like, well, how could this be so high? And I start looking and I'm like, I don't use that. oh wow, I could have saved $4,000 if I just had canceled stuff that I don't ever use. So
good point.
It's kind of like a spring cleaning, though. I find it really satisfying. And speaking of cleaning, I'm exactly the same with my actual cleaning. So things will slowly degenerate into complete chaos, and then I'll completely like renovate the whole thing. Same thing with expenses and bad habits and stuff like that in business and creativity. It just creeps in. It kind of Frankensteins. You keep bolting on all these extras. And it's only when you breathe, often once a year, around New Year, and go, hold on, I'm going to sort all of that mess out. And it's really satisfying. And often it motivates you. So you get this little burst of encouragement to get the ball rolling again.
You like you forget the weight of it. It feels like this weight has been lifted. You feel lighter. Everything feels easier.
Yeah, definitely. So shall we get specific? And obviously, I know from my perspective, we're actually planning some quite top secret stuff. So I will have to be quite vague. But at the same time, I think it could be maybe useful for Lisa and the other listeners to hear what are some tangible examples of how we do this stuff. So it's not all just vague theory, right? How are we doing it? So from my perspective, what I tend to do is I will think quarterly. So I'll split the year into 3-month blocks, and I usually have one big thing per quarter. Beyond that, I find I don't get stuff done. So I can't just have a big to-do list for each quarter. My to-do list is for my weekly work, and I kind of crack through things like on a daily and weekly basis. But in terms of the quarter, I just have one overarching goal. For example, with Design Cuts, we're launching a big new venture this quarter, which I'm really excited about. And then the quarter after that, we're going full on into an even bigger venture, which is like more product orientated. So they're, again, quite secret. I know I'm being vague there, but that's 2 very, very big things. If I added any more, it would be overwhelming. So it's more focused to have 2 big things, but within there's 1,000 moving parts on each of those projects. And they obviously get split into weekly to-do items and project management software and all the rest of it. But for me, I think if you're throwing more than one thing a quarter, so no more really than like 4 big things a year, I think if you've got a goal of 20 things you're going to achieve in 2018, that's not really viable at all.
No.
I did that last year. I had 20 epic things. I was like, I'm going to work so hard.
How many did you get done?
Like 3. And it was just like luck of the draw that I happened to do those things because I think I reviewed that list once. Like I thought I was going to make 4 pieces of software, 10 fonts, like all the, it was, dude, I was smoking crack.
What is it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the greatest sayings of all time.
So true.
I should have that like knitted onto, what do you call that? Like knitted onto the wall of my house.
Yeah.
That's my family.
That is so true.
Like, honey, don't forget.
So how about you guys? Have you done a better job since then, Dustin?
Yes. Okay, so my biggest weakness, like almost undisputed by anybody, is I am horrible at organization and planning. I'm just horrible at it. I can plan short term for like a week. I have a hard time planning for months, and I have a hard time making systems. So what I did this year that's been different is I have been searching and finally found a coach who I was asking you about this. And I finally found one who was a holistic coach who I look up to, who is like, he's a military man. So he's super organized, super by the book, do these things. I will check in and kill you if you don't do it.
Does he go like Full Metal Jacket on you? You seen that movie?
Exactly.
Because you kind of need that. I mean, I don't know. I think you need that.
Right. And it's a little investment, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't think that it would make me more money than it cost me. And so to have someone kind of say, here's the plan we're sticking to based on your goals. This is what we're doing. I'm going to be accountable to, you're going to be accountable to me, is huge. So there's no shame, in my opinion.
That's like a whole new level, Dustin. Wow.
Yeah.
It is, but I feel like to grow, like, you know, you need someone to invest themselves in teaching you to be an adult in the places you're being a child, which I'm totally a child when it comes to organizing systems and things.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
So what I would say is if you can't afford a business coach or you feel that it's too scary or whatever, do try and do a mastermind. Because as people may know that's how this
Good point.
show got started. And
Mm.
all it takes is like 2, 3, 4 friends. You jump on a call once a week, once a month, and you get that accountability. So everyone starts the call saying, did they get the stuff done that they said they would? And if everyone else did, and you're like, oh, no, I didn't do anything, that sucks. That's not a position you want to be in. And you can't really hide from that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say when you make your mastermind, make sure to pick people that are people you like look up to in some way. There's something about them where you're like, I
Like,
will.
they're taller than you.
Yes. Yeah. No, like, you know, like where like they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So be around people that are going to help you
Elevate you.
elevate you, not people that
Yeah.
are going to make you start thinking in the gutter.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I've started wearing more flat caps, drinking more wine, and eating more vegetables. It's hanging out with you three.
Like saying that, I spend a lot of time with my children, so that's probably why some of my things come out like they do.
Yeah, but I love your childish take on stuff. Channel that into the creativity.
Exactly.
I'll try.
Definitely.
Okay, so yeah, how about you, Lisa?
Yeah, I do similar stuff to you, but I also have an overarching theme for the year that kind of sets the tone for me. So last year was get my website sorted and get it up and running and try and get as independent as possible, and like launch a really good one, something I'm proud of, and then build it. So in between all of that, obviously I have to make products and all the things that go with it. So that's where it comes down to the quarterly, that what you were saying, Tom. But when I feel that if I have kind of a theme for the year, it keeps me focused, and I can't really divert too much. So this year this year my theme is do less, earn more. Okay.
I like that.
Do less and earn more. Okay, this sounds
you should take
ridiculous.
Dustin's passive income for designers course.
Yeah.
Just go lie on a hammock, man, and watch the dollars roll in.
Well, that's what I put like on my coaching thing. I literally, I think, put that too, like do less and
Do-
earn more.
Really?
Well, because there's so much like extra crap you're doing that you don't need to do. That
Well,
doesn't make
you see,
money.
that's the thing. So, I mean, it's a very glib statement, but ultimately, we all want to have a better life and spend time with our loved ones. And the last 3 years, I just haven't, and
Yeah.
I have to really, really focus this year on, kind of focusing more on my personal life and my personal relationships. But at the same time, obviously, still want my business to grow. So, just having that theme kind of makes me think, okay, so how do I get it done? And what steps do I need to take to get it done? So it helps you kind of plan, how are you going to get there? How are you going to actually make that happen? And then you can break it down, as you said, into quarters or months or whatever. And then obviously you need to that'll also shape the products that you do. Like how much time are you going to have to create products and do the rest, if that's your overall goal,
So you could have, say, a quarterly goal of hire an assistant, which I know is something you're working on, which would be a big step towards backing off from a lot of the busy work and stuff that's sucking your time and stress. And then you could split that into monthly goals. So it's like, month 1 of the quarter could be documenting all of your key workflows of everything you do, which will not only let you see what you can delegate and what you can't, but it will also identify holes in the processes, and it will start letting you put together guides which you can then pass on. So when someone joins, you're not just trying to explain it from nothing. You're like, okay, here's the workflows I want you to start with, and here's a step-by-step guide of how to do that. So you can kind of see you're like reverse engineering it. So it's like the year's goal is to do less and earn more. Great. So maybe the first half of the year is doing less and the second half is earning more, which I think would be the logical order. So the first quarter of the year is hiring someone, like I say, then second quarter is something else to do with kind of backing away from your work, and then the last 2 quarters would be using the time you freed up to like really push new products, new income streams and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly.
Can I ask you both a question about that?
Yeah,
because I'm horrible at this. I love that idea. I so want to do that. Want to do what you guys are doing. How do you keep on track? Do you put it in a Google Calendar with reminders, or what's the whole process to keep yourself going? Even for 3 months is a lot for me.
that is a brilliant question, and I've literally spent 3 years trying to find that answer. I have tried every app on this planet, and I've tried, what do they call it, speed journaling or something, or I don't know. I've tried everything and nothing's working. Then I know this is going to sound naff because you guys probably have heard it a long time ago. I've discovered Trello.
I was about to say that's what we use.
It has changed my life. I can't believe I've never discovered it before.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's just completely changed everything. You can literally create boards and, you know, orientate tasks, and you can even delegate time to it, you know, like set calendar dates and that kind of thing. So
you have to get a calendar add-on. Have you done that?
Yeah.
Great. So
yeah.
For everyone listening who hasn't seen Trello, the built-in functionality is basically you set up columns. Quite often we do to-do, doing, and done.
Yeah.
So then you get everything, and then you put it in priority order. So in your to-do list, you have the key thing you need to do at the top. Then you would start on that and move it to doing. And then once you've finished it, you move it to done. So the idea is everything kind of moves left to right, and just kind of moves across the board as you tick it off. And as Lisa says, you can segment it, you can apply categories for the different type of work and filter views like that. And then I think you have to pay extra, but you can get a calendar add-on where you view it in a traditional calendar format. So you can see it weekly and monthly and just get this constant overview. You can get reminders sent to yourself when stuff is due.
So is calendar add-on like a one-time fee?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think they allow you to have one add-on for free. So if you only choose calendar, then you sorted.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
but you can also integrate with Slack, which we use for internal messaging. And so if you're working as part of a team or even yourself, you can trigger reminders to go to that. It's really good. And also, I will say, and this sounds like a complete plug for Trello, but it's built by designers, you can tell, for designers, because we've used a few project management things, and we never trust our main developer. Our chief technical officer, he is great. He's amazing with infrastructure, but whenever he tries to give us these to-do list things, it's always built by developers. So it makes sense to him. But for us mere mortals and designers, I'm like, what is this? This is so complex. I hate it. It's ugly. I can't use it. But Trello is like really intuitive and nice to use.
Well, it's like having children. It's like it's colorful. It's rounded blocks. It just feels like you're playing with very, very 5-year-old to figure it out. You know,
that's true.
So do you all use this? I literally don't like quite. You know, it's not a surprise to you, but I don't have anything. I just have like, it'd be really good if I could get my studio built in 2018.
That's quite a cool goal.
That's still a goal. I mean, that's brilliant.
Are you building that by hand, Ian?
Sorry?
Are you building that mostly by hand?
I am, which makes me seem like I know what I'm doing.
Bob the Builder.
I have a friend who helped me to convert this studio into an office. It was just like a brick little outbuilding. And he helped me build it. And so, but I was more of a labourer for him than him. You know, the other way around.
It was a consultant.
You were the handlanger, is what we would call it.
I want to go over there and help you. Can I go over there and give you some free labor?
Yeah, sure.
I need an excuse to go to Britain.
Maybe we set up our own conference, and that's the way we can get everyone together.
Funded.
Yeah.
Honest Design of London.
I guarantee when you've got the new studio, you're going to feel really inspired. And
yeah,
hopefully,
your
YouTube videos look way better, and it should be cool.
That's exciting. You know, it's good when you feel like so excited about it, you know?
Yeah. I can get a green screen in there and just have like, you know, craziness going on in the background.
Wow.
Space floating behind you and planets.
Yeah, I could do like, lettering in space.
That's awesome. I'm jealous. Oh.
Okay, so I'm looking back at Lisa's question here and fitting her goals within the framework we're talking about. She's talking about the product side of things, upgrades. I'm not quite sure what that means, but also deep improvements on her business model, etc. She says. So really, it sounds like she's trying to scale things up. So what the overall annual goal could then look like? I would go tangible. That would be one bit of advice. So I have no idea how much she's making right now, but let's imagine for a second it's like $5,000 or something. maybe a month, that is. So maybe her goal would be, I want to earn double that. I want to double my money that I make creating by the end of the year. So my annual goal is, by the end of the year, $10,000 a month. And if that's the case, then she could absolutely split the year into quarters and be like, okay, so one quarter could be looking at marketing efforts and distribution. One quarter could be looking at cutting costs, even something like that, to ensure more profitability. And by making that your focus, it's not to say your day-to-day work stops and that's all you're doing. It's like all the habitual work that you end up doing every day, that continues, but you've got that constant overriding focus of, I must pay attention to this every day of the next month and the next 3 months.
Exactly.
And then you could split it into the monthly thing again. So if it was something like distribution and marketing, it could be, right, this month I'm going to step up my social media game and I'm going to come up with a full ongoing posting calendar of content across a variety of platforms. And by the end of the month, that calendar's in place. I've created all the templates I need for the content and I've got into the hang of doing that. So that's now my ongoing social media thing. Another one could be reaching out and approaching blogs and influencers and people like that to help share her work and give some of them free copies, stuff like that. And she just spends a month doing that and nothing else that's kind of growth orientated. So again, she does the day-to-day, but that's her only goal, is this is my month of outreach to people. And by kind of splitting it like that, it should be more effective.
So you mean when you say like that's all you do that month, you mean like in addition to like, say, if you're creating products or doing client jobs, like that extra time you have that you spend on those other tasks, dedicate that wholly to that one thing for the most part?
I mean, you pretty much do your normal day. But when you're trying to grow 8 different areas at once, that's when it doesn't work. So it's like, obviously you're still going to respond to emails. You're still going to, in her case, create products, which are your bread and butter. But if throughout that you're trying to expand your social media and your marketing efforts and renovate your entire product strategy and do a big new launch of something else, if you're trying to do all that at once, that's not going to work. Whereas if you're like, okay, well, that's not too bad. I know I'm just going to do my normal day to day, but I'm going to allocate half an hour or 1 hour a day to this main quarterly goal or this monthly goal.
Yeah.
So sorry to keep digging on you on this one. I'm trying to get as much as I can out of you on this. So you said, like, you gave the example of maybe three months is marketing efforts, and then maybe 3 months is cutting costs. Can you give other suggestions for like things like that?
You mean to make more? In her case, it was say to expand her business. Is that what you mean, Dustin?
Yeah, like those 2 categories that you just said, Tom, were interesting to me.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I got something.
So what's others?
So that's 2. So another one could be optimizing what you have currently. So if that's a quarter, you could then split that into months. So 1 month could be, I'm going to redo all of the preview graphics that I have on my products that I'm not totally satisfied with. And I know, even though that's a lot of upfront work and it will take me most of the month, I know then long-term, forever, they will all convert and sell better and make me more ongoing passive income, because now maybe 3% of people who view them buy them instead of 2%.
Yeah.
So that could be a single month. Then it could be like, okay, I'm going to also look at my my whole sales process. So I know Lisa sells stuff through her website. So I'm going to spend a month analyzing that, redesigning parts of the checkout, making it easier for people to buy, getting better funnels on my website. And I know we're going quite marketing here, but obviously this is relevant for Lisa's question. Maybe another month out of that quarter is I'm going to analyze what I have, and I'm going to have more of a data month. So I'm actually going to really dig into the data of what's selling best, what are the trends, understanding why certain things sell better than others, why certain things flop. And I'm going to then formulate a plan of the next 12 months, the products I should be making based on that. But normally, if you're stuck in this habitual work, you wouldn't necessarily have time to stop and audit it. And so you'd never really take the time to figure out what you should be making and what you shouldn't, because you just keep plowing forward blindly.
Yeah.
That's
and I
brilliant.
think the updates, or she mentioned upgrades, and maybe she meant updates on her products.
It could be that. So maybe she spends a month doing that.
Yeah.
So what have you guys found works and doesn't work for you with trying to plan for the year ahead?
Well, what I have learned so far in trying to plan a few, in these last few years is that you have expectations that, as Dustin said, you're going to produce X amount of products, and by the end of the year, it sometimes ends up being like half. So this year, my expectation is a lot lower. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's probably more realistic.
It's great thing, I think.
Yeah, so because I mean, often you get disappointed. You say, "Oh man, I had all these lists. I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do that, and it just never happened." So I'm trying to set myself up for success rather than like I just didn't get there and then feeling crappy about not getting there. So also, I think if as you pointed out, Tom, if you have this sort of overarching goal quarterly or even yearly, you have to be realistic and know that if you want to do that properly, if you want to focus on that, something's got to give. So you're not going to have that extra time to do that extra product or whatever. But it's about the long-term game, because the time you're investing now, you think, oh gosh, I'm not creating enough products, I'm not getting so many out a year and all this kind of thing. But actually, this other stuff that you're doing it's actually helping your business grow for the long term, and that's really what this is about. You don't want to just be month to month, thinking about success like that.
Yeah, because then the second you stop, it's like, oh, you start going backwards, and I think that's the
Exactly.
pressure so many creatives can feel.
Yes.
It's like if I go on holiday for a week or two, you feel like it starts instantly going backwards, and that's not a very secure business model.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's a brilliant goal to have, to set for a year. Just how do I make myself feel less like pressurized that I have to produce every month to feel secure, or I have to have X amount of clients every month to feel secure. Then you need to maybe come up with some kind of plan that's going to alleviate that pressure.
Yeah,
I think one thing that's been a game changer for me has been someone that's bought something, or a client that's purchased, your services before, is way more likely, it's what would you say, cliche, it's so common, is more likely to buy from you again.
Yeah.
So by maximizing that, you can make a lot more money with minimal effort and save yourself the time of aggressively trying to find new customers. So as an example of that in my business, when someone buys, there's an offer where if you buy more, you get a discount. So that's increased my average cart value, which means that every customer spends a little more. Or right after they buy, they get a follow-up email thanking them, reaffirming the download link, along with at the bottom a small discount code that expires within a few days while they're still hot, so to speak, in terms of you're on top of their mind, saying, hey, go buy something now and you can still save. A couple of days later, I do a follow-up and I ask them for an honest review. And when they do that, and when they leave that review, if it's a positive review, it reaffirms for them that they like the product, and that means that they are more likely to buy again. If they leave a negative review, well, then my feelings are hurt and I learned something.
But you cry in the corner.
But those are all automated, so those things all make me extra money.
Exactly.
And that adds up. It might be only $1,500 a month in extra money, which seems like a lot, but whatever it is, it adds up. I mean, $1,500 a month is what, $18,000 a year.
Go on, maths. Yeah, and even if it was a lot less, even if it's something that makes you $50 extra a month,
yes,
as long as you're happy just to put in that upfront time and then it continues to happen, that all adds stability.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are like this. I'm guessing you might not be, but I really despise doing things like that, setting up automated emails, and I mean, that kind of stuff is just, it bores me to death, and I do anything else other than that. But I do know that it has to happen because, as you said, it's the effort that you're putting in actually ends up, it does all the work for you, so it's worth it.
Or you just pay someone to do it. If you hate it that much,
I guess,
obviously you'd have to give them a brief of not coming off sleazy or salesy and find the right person, probably a recommended person. But if you just said, look, here's a couple of $1,000, here's the brief, go and improve all my email funnels. Why not?
Yeah,
exactly.
Lots of times too, like on things that I hate doing like that, I'll do it the first time just so I kind of have a sense. And so when I'm looking at someone else's work, I can call out and be like, well, why did you do that? That seems weird. I've done this and I know that's weird. That way you kind of have a sense, like maybe you make the first little thing to try to make an improvement through an automation. And that way when someone's doing it, you can say, why'd you do that? You know, and just know kind of what's going on.
Exactly.
So again, I'm thinking back to Lisa's question here, but also what would be applicable for a lot of listeners. Presumably, the listeners, I know a lot of them are freelancers and so on. And I love Dustin's thought of how do you get more out of your existing clients? Because he's right. He's totally right. That's one of the easiest and most rewarding ways to make more money and move your business forward. And so why not have a quarter or even a month dedicated to that, where it's like, okay, so maybe the quarter is I'm going to try and progress things with my existing customers, clients, whatever. So month one could be personally reaching out to each and every one of them, or as many as you can. Month two could be coming up with more automated ways to improve their experience and making it better. Month three could be like a real wow gesture or something that's a bit more public on social media, for example. So I'm thinking of Lisa's example here. I have no idea how many customers she has, but let's say it's 500 or 1,000 or something like that. Would she be willing to spend a big chunk of her month trying to email all 1,000 customers, or at least the last 100 or the last 200, and send them a personal email just saying how much she appreciates them? And they'll be able to see this is not a template, it's not a newsletter, it's a personal email from her just saying, I really appreciate you buying my stuff. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I guarantee the impact of that would be felt for many, many months and years to come.
Definitely.
So maybe she also does wow gestures, where I know she's an amazing illustrator. So maybe she puts stuff out on social thanking them in a public way, but by doing it as part of a hand-drawn illustration. So Lisa, if you bought her stuff from one Lisa to another, she could be like, thanks so much, Lisa. She could maybe like draw a little portrait of you or something to do with your hobbies or what you're posting about on social media, and almost do like a little gift, like a personalized thing for you, which you would then treasure. And if she did that publicly over the course of a month, suddenly those people are hopefully customers for life, but also other people take note and they're like, wow, Lisa's Balcony's doing some pretty creative stuff here and really cares about her clients and that kind of thing.
Can I ask you something about that? That's such a great idea, especially the part about making a custom little, like Lisa making a custom illustration, or you guys are great at that. I've thought about doing that before, but I always feel like, what if they don't want to be on a socially acknowledged that they purchase? Like some people, it's their little secret, or some people, they use these things, but they don't want people to know because, you know, they want to understandably be the hero of their story.
Yeah, sure.
So do you think it's okay to just do that without their permission? And I really don't know. I'm not trying to like put you in a corner. I'm serious.
I don't know is the short answer, but what you could do is you could email it to them privately. Be like, here's a personal thing. They should really appreciate that. And when they're like, oh, thanks so much, that means the world, you could be like, oh, awesome. By the way, I'd love to share this publicly on social and plug your profiles in the process and link to you to drive you more followers. And they'll most likely say yes. But if they're like, oh, no, I'm really shy, but thanks for checking, it's like, cool.
That's brilliant.
That's why they pay the big bucks.
So, Ian, I'm going to corner you here because you're being a little bit quiet. And I'm guessing that is because you've been very candid with us over the last few months that you're perhaps not the master of planning, which is...
or organisation or anything involving business. Would it maybe be, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like I was exactly the same for pretty much the majority of my life. I've literally had to force myself with this stuff. I think it could be interesting for the listeners to hear from your perspective, maybe some of the trials and tribulations on that front where you're trying to plan for the year ahead or the quarter or the month or whatever, because I think it's so relatable. I don't think, it doesn't really cross my mind about planning. I find I just sort of muddle along trying to do things, which is not a great way to do it, but that's just, I find that when it's not my strength, I find I just sort of shy away from it and put it aside. Hope it sorts itself out, but it doesn't. And so the thing is, there's like, for my personal side, there's loads of things I need to do, you know, sort out email marketing, just sort out the design of my site, so it's clearer. I find I really struggle with making things clear in terms of what I'm all about, really. I know people know that I do lettering, but it's just making it clear through my site, through all the stuff I do, exactly what, is it I sell things? Is it I just make videos? It's this sort of clarity. So I just need to find, I suppose I need to find someone, because I did a post the other day just talking about how we can not play to our strengths and just focus on the weaknesses, and like, I'll try and do this as designers, especially as we're all individuals, that we sometimes try and do it all ourselves. But actually, sometimes, like with Lisa, for instance, she needs to get an assistant because she just can't do it all by herself. And for me, I need to find someone who can, one, redesign my website, because I may be a designer and I may have designed websites for quite a while, but I really struggle because it's my own thing, and it's my own.
So hard.
And it's hard to get clarity when it's you're trying to do everything. And I feel like I'm just not getting anywhere. I'm just, at the moment, I just sort of feel like I'm scrabbling around in the dark, not really doing it. Like having the right intentions, but not already getting anywhere with it. So for me, I need to make a list of things that I need to find someone else for. So, and it might require some money. It might require quite a bit of money at first, but then obviously I'll get that back, like with Dustin, as he invests in people to help him to be able to get to a place where I know what me as a brand is about and how I'm projecting to the world, so that they understand what either they're buying from me or whether they're asking for my services. There's a clear, consistent message.
I would probably go down the route of using some part-time designer / copywriter. As I say, Dustin has Suzanne, who sounds amazing. We have Ali, who we work with, who is also very, very good. And I think it would be scary for you to say, I'm going to strike up a 50-50 partnership to get help with all that stuff, or I'm going to hire a full-time employee. But I'm sure you can start outsourcing parts of it. And even if it doesn't completely solve what you're talking about, it will help alleviate some of the stress that goes with it.
Yeah. So I've got a designer. I've got Megan, who does my preview images for me, who's really helpful. But I think for me, it's the bigger things of the whole website and the.
Well, could Megan? Is it Megan or Megan?
Megan. MEA.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, could Megan do your website, because your previews are always amazing. So even if she's not super experienced, I'm sure, to be honest, you'd probably want consistency.
I need a specific designer for Shopify. So that's what I need to reach out into the sort of community to find someone who can not only produce the visuals for it, but also build it at the same time, rather than here's a design, let's try and find the suitable theme. Ooh, it doesn't really match up, sort of thing. So, and then, then someone who can really, or maybe just go, I don't know. It's like someone who can really give me some experience in, or literally sitting with me and going through the sort of back end of Shopify and going through MailChimp or whatever one I use, and literally hand holding into, because the thing is, you go onto stuff like this and you just haven't a clue, and it's all quite confusing. I thought I was quite a fay with stuff and quite easy to get hold of, but it's all quite confusing.
And it is.
I used to code stuff and I just don't understand this. And so, and you see all these adverts for all about, how email is still the main tool to use to grow your, grow, I suppose, your audience, your income, through having a good email database. But it's just working all that out. I've got, a good number on there, but it's just how I use that and how I go about it. And you're talking about like automated stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that. I don't have to write it all.
It just sounds like overwhelm.
Yeah,
to be
it
honest.
is. It is.
And my advice there would be just start with something. Almost
Yeah,
forget
start.
everything else and be
Yeah.
like, all I'm going to do, even if it's all I'm going to do this month, is one email. So
Yeah.
it could be like, all I'm going to do is do one follow-up email that goes out when people subscribe, or whatever that might be. It's like, just do something. I'm trying to look up Lisa's website.
And it sounds
here.
like you need somebody to sit who is, I guess, a designer would be good as well if they are a designer, but you need somebody to sit down and almost conceptualizes your website first. Because
Yeah.
I think once you have that clarity, your landing page, what all do you want on your landing page, what's going to be your opt-in, where do you want customers or people to navigate to naturally next, how are you going to guide them, what do you want to show them. It sounds like you need somebody to literally work that out, and once you have that, you can at least then approach a developer to do all that for you.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we jump on a call? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
outside of this episode, happy to jump on a call, and I'm sure
I'm also
between
happy to help
between
if
the
you.
four of us.
Yeah.
Well, and to add to that for people listening, because I know when I was struggling to get myself up and going as a designer and didn't have much cash, the idea of hiring someone to figure this out for me was just
It's
too much
scary.
money to think about. Scary.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth mentioning that whether it's Squarespace or it's Shopify or it's a really quality WordPress theme or it's whatever, insert whatever your favorite thing is, people that are professionals that put so much work into making these have great placement of email opt-ins, of navigation, that you don't need to spend a ton of money and have someone custom craft this for you. It's great if you can, but I don't think people should be discouraged from doing that. You can do that without that and do a great job. People will opt in. People will pay attention to what you're doing if it's great, even with a very basic theme.
Yeah,
True, but it does need to make
100%.
sense.
I've got a little confession to make. I think I half told you guys this, but for the listenership, as we are the honest designers after all, but I think it's important to note we can be here saying, yeah, use Trello and do this and it's all going to be fine. And, it all sounds very encouraging and easy. But
It's
bearing in
not.
mind, right at the start of this year, I basically got like the norovirus, this horrible sickness bug that was going around, felt like death. And then I was so overwhelmed because I knew it was going to be a busy start to the year, but I was pretty much having like anxiety attacks, thinking about the billion jobs that were hanging over me and everything that was about to happen with the company and so on. So it's very easy to sit here and be like, yeah, use Trello. Like that's great. That'll sort your problems out. But we all go through this, whether we're naturally organized or not. We all freak out massively at certain points. And that wasn't that long ago for me, that I really just, I felt paralyzed by there being so many things and I didn't know where to start. And it was all just hanging over me. And every time I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll tackle that one, the million other jobs clouded over my whole brain.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't think. It was really scary, actually. I just thought, oh, what's wrong with me? I couldn't function like I normally do. So I think it's important to kind of share that and share that truth. But at the same time, what did pull me out of it was, I think, first of all, look after yourself, look after your health, mental and physical. So it's no good trying to plan your year if you're super stressed and freaking out about stuff. So first of all, sort that out. But once you've done that, I think seriously just get started. Like I said to Ian, because as soon as I was like, okay, I tell you what, I'm just going to pick that job. I'm going to forget the rest. And as soon as I started it, I was like, oh, that was quite a big, scary job. But now I'm doing it. It's actually working out way better than I thought it would. And I was really scared and stressed about this, but actually it's fine. Yeah. And now I feel really great about that thing. So then I started on the next thing. And that turned out fine as well. And I had the same thing with like homework at school even. It would be so daunting. It's like, oh, my coursework and college and all the rest of it hangs over you. And then as soon as you start writing and start the process, it's like, oh, okay, actually it's what do they say? It's like fear is always the build up. It's like skydiving, and as soon as you throw yourself out the plane, it's elation.
Yeah.
That would be my tip for planning anyway, because I've been there. I've been in like the darkest depths of despair with this stuff, and as soon as you pull yourself out of it, sort your mental and physical well-being out, and then just start a bit of momentum, that's something you can build on.
One jewel, like I felt like from Ian when he mentioned he wasn't good at planning things in advance, what he's excellent at that he makes up for all of that is that he's so good at executing. Mm-hmm. Every day something's coming out, he's making something interesting. So all the planning in the world doesn't do anything if you execute, and he's fantastic at that in the particular areas that he's excelling at it. So I think that's really valuable. Like, perfect example for me. I have a little boy on the way coming like a couple weeks. So I'm trying
honest
to
designer's celebration.
Feels like the calm, still feels like the calm before the storm. But so I'm trying to do one more passive income for designers course before it launches, but I've been putting that off because I feel that same overwhelm. And last night or yesterday, I was just like, the goal for today is I'm just sending out a survey and getting some feedback. I was so scared to do that. I was afraid people would be like, you suck. Why are you sending me a survey? Get lost. And I sent it out. I got like a bunch of responses. Nobody told me I sucked. A couple people unsubscribed. But I think it could be as simple as putting like a little sticky note on your computer with the theme for the 3 months. And then if that's all you can do, and then be like, I'm going to execute something, for half an hour every day related to that theme. Like something that you're executing is better than nothing,
Mm-hmm. I think for me the whole, I know everyone tells you just focus, and I know that's true because that's ultimately what we're all talking about, is focusing on one thing. But the concept in itself was so, I don't know, difficult to understand. I don't know. To me, the word focus is so, I don't know. It's like accounting or something. It's not very creative, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the way I saw focus. But actually, just breaking it down into those small tasks and doing one thing at a time is the focus. And instead of running around like a border collie, you got so many things to look at. You can actually just cut off all the other stuff and just focus on the one task, and you do actually chip away slowly, and you get there. So it does take discipline, though. Yeah,
I think as well. Everything eventually becomes a habit, which is good. So I talked about habits in a bad way at the start of this episode, how we're habitual creatures, we fall into these patterns. But we started doing this podcast, right? That was not a habit when we started. That was a big, scary new thing we were layering on top of our existing habits. And now it's just a habit. Now I know every Wednesday night I show up and chat with you guys. Yeah, it's still scary. But yeah, it becomes a routine. So now I kind of don't even think about it. And that makes it easier to stick to.
Good point. How long do you think it takes to make it a routine?
14 days, they say.
14?
Yeah, they say 14 days.
I feel like it's like 60. I feel like it feels like eternity.
If you do it every day, like say you want to I don't know, stop smoking or stop drinking coffee or I don't know.
Drink more wine.
Exactly.
Why would anyone want to stop drinking coffee?
Yeah, let's be serious.
That's how I began to drink coffee. I just literally for like a whole month, I had a coffee every day. I was like, oh, this is disgusting. It's like bitter water. And then suddenly, literally overnight, the next day I came in, I had it, and it was like, oh, this is gorgeous.
Day 15, I'll have a double flat white, sir.
Yeah.
So you've weaned yourself onto coffee. Is it because you're like, I don't feel like a real designer until I drink coffee every day?
Right. But it was just a precursor to my daily bad latte arts.
This is so pathetic. I need to clean these.
I thought it was.
Yeah, for everyone who's listening to the audio and not watching the video, Dustin's got a plethora of tiny looking cups that he's holding.
Empty coffee cups.
Saying that, I've got about the same number here.
Yeah, that is disgraceful. They need a wash.
That's not even all of them. It's so I could hold my hands. Anyways, continue.
Cool. So hopefully that did help Lisa and anyone listening at home. I know we've jumped around a little bit today, but I think that is the very nature of planning. It can feel sporadic. It can feel scary. But have we all got like a very quick closing thought, like a sentence each, just to leave the dear listeners with? Go on, Lisa. You sound ready.
I was just thinking. It sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's kind of true. You have to also think about what do you need to be in order to reach your goal. So what has to change in yourself? Do you have to be more organized? Do you have to be more focused? Do you have to get more confidence in sending emails out? What has to change in yourself to actually achieve the plan that you have set out for the year?
Nice.
Mhm.
Ian?
I would say, sorry.
Dustin.
Well, Dustin, give me time to think.
Tom, I didn't have much to say other than I was just going to reinforce what you said. I think that your whole point about having a theme for every 3 months and then breaking that down is just so brilliant. It's so brilliant. I mean, I wrote that shit down. Can I say that?
Yes.
I wrote that stuff down in here because that just makes so much sense to me.
Sweet. Yeah, kind of piggybacking on that, but I think be realistic about the amount of stuff you're aiming to get done, whether you're planning 3 months or a year. I would say in a year, based on our chat today, it seems to be 1 to 4 is the magic number of big stuff to focus on. And 1 is fine if you literally only have 1. It could be like a big one, maybe for a lot of listeners, could be quit my full-time job, my 9 to 5, and go be a freelancer.
That's a big one.
That would be a big goal. And there's a lot of moving parts and steps you can kind of reverse engineer to get there. But I think,
and even that could be broken into 4 sections.
Exactly.
Oh, completely.
But yeah, I think no more than 1 to 4 goal. If you're trying to do 20 like Dustin and be superhuman, it's probably not going to work.
It doesn't work.
No.
Cool. Mr. B.
Yes. Do you know what one of my goals is for 2018? Is to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm currently on 44,000.
That's impressive.
Just because I want to get a silver play button. You know, when you go, literally, it's like,
I like that.
It's literally like, when you're trying to collect for something, or, on your games, apps on your phone, where you do it just to get the rewards. You want to get up a level and stuff like that. It's literally, because it doesn't. It does also mean that it's more brands are aware or companies are aware of you over that certain period. Because once you get over 100,000, you get an account manager at YouTube, and so you get advice and stuff like that about growing it. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to do that? I'm going to make sure I upload a video a week. 2nd week into January, I've failed already. So
maybe your goal is unrealistic. With a video a week?
Well, it's not. The thing is, what's weird is that I had less time the other year when I was doing it. Took Tuesdays off and I was doing a course, and I had less time, and I still uploaded videos really regularly.
Yeah,
I've
but
got
it was
more
new
time.
And shiny.
Sorry?
It was new and shiny, though. It's always easier at the start.
Oh, no, that wasn't at the start. It was like middle of the way through, and I still managed to sort of...
But you kind of had this time where you got like real serious all of a sudden.
Hey?
You had this time when all of a sudden you got real serious about it, Like it became real business-like, and you were like, every week, baby.
You'd crack a joke and Ian would just stare deadpan back at you.
Yeah. I've had it since 2012. So, and I just uploaded a few videos. I've got like 75 videos. So I must have done I've done one like over the past 3 years. I did one like a year consistently, nearly. And then I started a course and couldn't do it every week. They were sort of a bit sporadic. And then I try and do it like one every week. But then I just got behind with other things, and I'm like, oh, YouTube's not bringing any money in. I need stuff that's bringing money in. And
think of poor Casey Neistat cranking out one a day.
I know.
At a certain point, even he stopped that. Anyway, Lisa.
Anyway, that's not really side debris. I think in terms of like ending thoughts is that what works. See what works for you. For me, I need something that works. And so for me, I need to maybe just look at 3 major things this year and then break them into smaller things for spread throughout the year. So the thing is like reverse engineering. So see the big goal. Big goals are overwhelming and too massive to just hold as they are, and then just reverse the steps down so until they get to something that you can do. Break it down. Yeah, when it's broken down, it just doesn't seem so overwhelming. But just think that. Just keep it simple, because like my brain just can't cope with more than 3 things.
I don't think anyone's can.
They can just cope with breathing and writing stuff down, and that's it.
All right, well, best of luck, Lisa, and thank you for the question. Hopefully we'll have her back on the show at some point. And from the 4 of us, that's bye for now.
See you
Bye.
later.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. We hope that you're feeling fired up to create an effective plan for this year and your creative business will flourish. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes by searching for The Honest Designers Show. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean so much to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will of course see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.